in this video we will look at the Sungrow monitoring system. This is an inverter that's new for us. We just started installing it for about a month ago. There are other videos about that, so you can check that out. You can see the inverter and the system. But today we're going to take a look at the monitoring system, how it looks when you look on your laptop. It will be very similar in the phone, on the phone, but it will obviously be more upright and you have to scroll through pages, but on the laptop you will see more information at the same time. So the first thing we can do, take a look at the energy right now. It's about 1 kilowatt, and then the load is 1.5 kilowatt, so it has to take 600 watts from the grid. Now, the reason for the production being quite low right now is because it's late in the afternoon. It's almost 5 o'clock, so the production is quite low. But then it completely seamlessly takes what it cannot take from the panels, it takes from the grid. And the customer doesn't notice anything, it's completely seamless. So that's the benefit of the on-grid system, that when the PV, we call this power PV, when the PV cannot support the load by itself, the system takes seamlessly and it's supported by the grid. It doesn't notice anything. Now, if this system was off-grid, it would have to take this electricity from a battery. So there you see very fast immediately why off-grid systems are more expensive, because you need more batteries. So, or you need batteries, but on this system you do not need batteries. You can have a system without batteries. You will save a little bit less money, sorry, but the investment is much smaller. So this is a great option for many, to have a low investment and still have very good monetary benefit from the solar system. So if we go down, we see that the total revenue today, 22 baht, 5 kilowatt. This is a 5 kilowatt system, by the way. Here we see the production right now. And here is this month production, and this is overall. So you see this is a completely new system. So, and obviously if you know the price for your electricity, you know also how much you have saved. And because it's a no export system, that is the actual number that you are saving. So you have, this system has saved 2,600 since it started, a little bit over a month ago. So as I said, this is a no export system, meaning that when we go down here, we can see that the feed-in is 0. So overall feed-in for today, meaning electricity sent back to the grid, is 0. If you do not control export on a system, this will have a percentage. But this is the recommended way to set up systems. But it's just easier. You don't have to be scared that it's going to send electricity and run the meter backwards and things like that. Please don't confuse this function with the safety function of when the grid is down, that the system doesn't send electricity out. That's completely different functioning. That is a safety function that all inverters have. All good inverters of a certain quality have this safety feature, that it will actually shut down when the grid goes down. So, but that's a different function. This is about the feed-in when the grid is up, that we're stopping export. That's what it's called. So this is a no export system. So we see here the load has been 13 kilowatt today, and of that we have 45% from the panels and the rest from the grid, which is quite a normal distribution on no export systems, but you can certainly have this percentage higher. It just depends on your own activity, like what you do in daytime versus what you do in other times when the energy from the panels are not so much. Obviously, if this percentage was very low, then the system would not be correct for you. because that means that you have very little daytime use. So the correct system for you then would be either hybrid system with batteries or a system that's exporting, but in normal situations, to make it easy, systems don't export. So let's go down here and look at the curves. Let's take a look at the PV first. This is the energy from the panel. So early morning it goes up, as it always does, because the sunshine comes in more and more. And if it had not controlled export, the curve would continue, most likely. I say most likely because I do not know what the weather was in this place. But you can see here very clearly, this is when the customer probably went outside and shut off his air condition, or anyway his load became much lower, and then the system started controlling export, meaning that the production was reduced. So this is how export is controlled in a system. The system lowers the production. Okay, so, and this is very important to understand. You don't have to understand it, but if you want to understand export control, this is what you have to understand. Because now this curve is not showing the potential energy in your system, it's only showing what you use. Okay, so the potential curve, if you did not control export, could be across here, or it could be up here. We don't know, because here we control export. Okay, so here you see that it comes back, and it obviously came back probably from some activity, and then the production returned because it turned on something. Now, obviously, when we go into smarter and smarter world with everything being controlled by apps and things like that, you can, with the Internet of Things, IoT, you can control the functioning of apps and appliances in the house without being physically present. So I'm obviously using the word come back home and leave home in a little bit abstract sense. I don't know. I'm just assuming. In theory, he could be controlling these things with IoT, and he could possibly not be at home. But that's not really the point of this video. The point of this video is to explain how export control works and how that looks in the Sungrow app. So, and here it's very clear because you have a very clear change here and a very clear change here. Now, let's move on. Let's go to further down here, and not too much more, just some fun numbers for those that are interested in the green energy aspect, which is obviously good, but you don't have to have a green energy reasoning for having a solar system. You can purely have it for monetary reasons if you want. Or you can have it for green energy reasons. It's up to you. It's not like you... What I'm trying to say is that people have different reasons for having solar systems, and it doesn't mean that we have to agree on the reasons. It could be purely monetary, or it could be because of green energy, up to you, so to speak. Now, when I pressed here, we see that the grid comes up. That means how much energy we are taking from the grid. And Sungrow systems are special in that you can actually see from the night too. For example, some other inverters that we use, you cannot see from the night because the inverter completely shuts down. But the Sungrow is able to without consuming much energy. I think that the inverter itself goes into some sleeping mode, but it's able to collect the data anyway. So it's almost like half asleep, so to speak. But it does capture the data and puts it out on a graph like this. So that's pretty cool for those that are interested in looking at the data for the overall 24 hours. And then we can see the load. This is the load. So yeah, here you can see what, when we saw the dip in the other graph, obviously it corresponds to the load. That's how export control works. And now we can turn them all back and see them all together in the same. And then obviously up here we can look at month, and then we can even look at the year, which is obviously not March because it's a new system, but anyway. Okay, guys, that was a little bit information about the Sungrow. I have to say I like it. It's good. It's user friendly. It gives you the data you want. And yeah, overall, very nice.